Next on WGN News, let the trash talking begin. The Northsiders take Game 1 of the Crosstown series. We'll hear from the fans. Also, facing his critics, Mayor Daley delivers the commencement address at Northwestern despite some opposition, what he had to say to the graduates. And check this out, a 5-foot-long alligator in the Chicago area. You'll never believe where this guy was taking a swim.
This is Chicago's very own WGN News at 9.
It is the first game of the Crosstown Classic series, and Chicago Cubs fans get bragging rights. At least they do for now. We're going to get to that story in just a minute. But first, Mayor Daley delivered the commencement address to graduates at Northwestern University this evening.
WGN's Gaynor Hall is live on the Northwestern campus in Evanston. Gaynor, how did it go?
Well, Allison, you know Mayor Daley doesn't usually speak to college graduates at those graduations. Northwestern's decision to ask him to deliver this year's commencement address set off a fierce debate among students, some of whom said the choice was a big letdown. Chicago's Mayor Richard Daley receives an honorary degree and delivers the commencement address at Northwestern's graduation this evening.
But whatever your goal is in life, try hard to make it meaningful. Try to pursue a life work that will endure.
Daley has endured harsh criticism from some students who weren't happy when Northwestern announced last month that he would be the commencement speaker.
The more they waited, the more we were like, oh my God, it's going to be like this huge international person or whatever, and then it was Mayor Daley.
I mean, he's not the best of speakers, but I wasn't appalled, or I didn't sign a petition or anything like some students did.
One student wrote an angry letter to the university's president calling the choice an unequivocal slap in the face to graduating seniors, some of whom were hoping for a more international speaker.
There were rumors that, Tony Blair was coming or something.
University officials say Mayor Daley was their one and only choice.
Northwestern really wanted someone who symbolized the long tie that the university has with the city of Chicago and the Chicago metropolitan area.
I think he's done a lot for Chicago, and it's definitely a big deal. And in honor of it being our 150th, it's nice to have somebody from Chicago speaking.
And besides the rain, the graduation went off without a hitch. In recent years, commencement speakers have included actress Julia Louis-Dreyfus and both presidential contenders Barack Obama and John McCain. In his speech tonight, Mayor Daley talked about his overhaul of Chicago public schools, and he also encouraged those graduates to do their part to make sure the city wins the 2016 Olympic Games. In Evanston, Gaynor Hall, WGN News.
Gaynor, thank you. Democratic governors say they're pleased they had the chance to meet with presidential hopeful Barack Obama today in Chicago. The economy was the key subject of the meeting. The governors did not mince any words about their frustrations with the Bush administration. They say people in their states are suffering with job losses and soaring prices for everything.
We need a president who understands what's happening in America. I believe the current president is totally out of touch.
And for all the decisions that are made about these issues in Washington, you're the ones who see the effects on families who live in your states each and every day.
Not present at today's meeting with Democratic governors was Illinois' Chief Executive Rod Blagojevich. His staff said he was busy monitoring the flooding downstate.
After a long, tough primary fight, Senator Hillary Clinton will be with Barack Obama on the campaign trail as early as next Friday. An Obama campaign statement didn't give any details, only to say the two will team up a week from today, and they will also meet in Washington with some of Clinton's top campaign donors. The joint appearances are seen as a step toward unifying the fractured Democratic Party.
Oh, the wild weather in the Chicago area strikes again. This time a storm knocks down a tree atop a home in Warrenville. One witness said the sound was heard for miles. This happened around 5:30 this evening.
Governor Blagojevich joined Illinois National Guard troops in southern Illinois to tour the flooded areas. The governor thanked the troops for their help in sending thousands of sandbags to flooded areas in Missouri. The sandbags were loaded onto 10 trucks in Quincy this morning and then sent to Clarksville.
Well, residents of Cahokia, Illinois are on guard as the Mississippi River starts spilling into the town just south of St. Louis. No damage has been caused so far, but RV engineers are worried. They're worried about a sand bubble discovered under one of the city's levees. This bubble could cause the levee to collapse. Residents have started sandbagging around that hole, and local officials are taking precautions.
That is just one of the reasons that we're preparing for scenarios. We're making sure that all of our networks are in place, the roads are ready to be passed, and we can move people out of the community if necessary.
It's not expected to flow over the 51-foot wall, but there is extra concern because last year FEMA decertified this area from flood protection. If you want to help flood victims, WGN has teamed up with the McCormick Foundation, WGN Radio, the Chicago Tribune, and several other organizations to launch Neighbors in Need 2008. For every dollar donated, the foundation will match the donation to flood victims up to $1 million. For more information, go to WGN-TV.com/help. Coming up, get ready for a soggy weekend. Tom Skilling tells us how long this wet weather will stick around.
Also, life imitating art, a real-life drama played out near the set of a movie being shot right here in Chicago.
And a big find in an unusual place where officials spotted this big fella.
You're watching WGN News at 9 with Steve Sanders, Allison Payne, Tom Skilling, and Rich King. This is Chicago's very own WGN News at 9. This is Chicago's very own WGN News at 9.
Yeah, we're all jumping up and down, aren't we? 1 down and 2 to go. The Crosstown Classic got underway today.
And WGN's Antoine Lewis is live in Wrigleyville, where the folks are still hanging out and all the action took place. Antoine.
The action is still going on, Allison. We've seen Cubs jerseys out here. We've seen White Sox jerseys, a few other jerseys out here. The Crosstown Classic, certainly the hottest ticket in town. That is for those that could get tickets.
Caitlin Lapata told boyfriend Dan Osterreiter if he flew in from Pittsburgh today, she'd take him to the Crosstown Classic. But she never told him she didn't have tickets.
Exactly. That was my number 2 reason here in coming to Chicago.
Okay.
And we're waiting it out.
Go to the bars and hang out, watch the game with everyone else who didn't get tickets. So.
But 41,000 fans did get tickets to see Chicago's very own Cubbies take on Chicago's very own White Sox. Mike Galis and grandson Aiden represent a family divided.
You got half the family of Sox fans, half the family of Cubs fans. How does it work out like a Thanksgiving? And
it's all, it's just, a matter of, whoever's got the bragging rights, And so far, the Cubs are playing better ball than the Sox, although the Sox are still in first place.
Both teams are at the top of their games right now at this point in the season, prompting many to say the World Series this year could be the Battle of Chicago.
Of course, it's going to be hyped up than ever. Everybody, we're both in first place. You know how it goes.
Sure. I think it'd be the best thing for baseball this year to see the Cubs and the Sox play. Other than Boston or New York, who'd you rather see play the Cubs?
Funny that Mike mentioned Boston, because not everyone at the friendly confines today came to support the Windy City.
Any worries at all about coming here with this shirt on?
No.
Oh, no.
It's all in good fun.
Hey, look at the hat.
Heather's hat was of the NBA world champion Boston Celtics. But Drew Siciliano had several themes going.
A whole lot of things going on here. You've got your Cubs hat,
yes,
your Sox jersey, and this is
monkey.
And your monkey.
Yeah.
Who dressed you today?
My mom.
Fans had a nail-biter of a game until the 9th, when Aramis Ramirez ended up giving Cubs fans the reason to leave happy, at least for today.
It's just a game today. We still got a world championship under our belt. They're waiting 100 years. We're only waiting 2 years. So tomorrow's another day. We'll get that win tomorrow. It's a whole new series. No problem.
Thanks, man. See you later. A lot of good times, a lot of good spirits down here. The two have not met in a Battle of Chicago since just after the turn of the 20th century, early in the 1900s. 4-3, your final score today here at Wrigley. But of course, Big Dan Roan will have all of your highlights. We're going to send it back to you in the studio. Stop that.
And time for you to weigh in. The Cubs took game 1, we all know that, but there are still 5 more to go in the season series. Which team do you think will win the most games? Text yes or no to 97999. Well, some real-life drama added to some spark to a movie scene being shot here in Chicago. A drive-by shooting disrupted the filming of Public Enemies. That's the new Johnny Depp movie about gangster John Dillinger. A Chicago police officer working security for the movie crew caught the bad guys. WGN's Holly Gregory joins us now. Holly, this story has all the irony of a good Hollywood script.
Well, Steve, it is ironic on a couple of levels. The movie, Public Enemies, is set during the dawn of the gangster era, and filming of the movie was interrupted by modern-day gangsters. Plus, the infamous John Dillinger had several run-ins with Chicago police, and it was a Chicago cop who stopped the drive-by shooting on the movie set.
There was a shooting on the scene, and I grabbed the car with the gun in there.
The talk on the Chicago street set of Public Enemies was what happened during filming early this morning. Chicago Police Detective William Kazumsky was blocking traffic with his squad car for the movie being filmed in the 1800 block of South True. That's when a car full of gang members came straight at him, shooting at another car of gang members.
I think they were so focused on what they were trying to do, they didn't even notice a marked squad car with lights going about a block down.
Public Enemies has been shooting in the Chicago area since March. In it, actor Johnny Depp portrays bank robber John Dillinger. Dillinger and his violent gang terrorized the Midwest, killing 10 men and wounding many others. During the filming, Chicago's streets are turned into the 1930s. When the drive-by shooting happened today, it was old gangster era meets new gangster era.
A bunch of policemen in old uniforms, guns on the set, shooting blanks, and you get the real guns come by and they do the real shooting. So it's kind of ironic. Car comes right at me.
Detective Kazumsky was able to stop one of the cars involved in the drive-by and arrest 5 juveniles. He recovered a handgun. So the script ends with the Chicago cop catching the bad guys. Not exactly the same caliber of bad guy that Dillinger was, who, by the way, shot and killed a Chicago police detective.
The movie is based on so much street shooting of handguns at other people that a real shooting takes place just half a block away.
Now, Johnny Depp wasn't on the set when the drive-by happened. He showed up about a half hour later, and nobody was hurt in the shooting. Luckily for the detective, when he approached the suspect, they were out of bullets. I'm live in the newsroom tonight. Holly Gregory, WGN News.
That is a great story, Holly. Thank you. Some surprising news that might put a smile on the faces of those concerned about pollution in the Chicago River. We don't know how long, but an alligator has been able to sustain himself on the fish living in the Chicago River. The alligator is a little over 5 feet long. It was found in the river near 37th Street this afternoon. A herpetologist and his father captured the reptile about 2 o'clock today.
I was able to distract it and keep its attention long enough, and I started stalking it, and while I was stalking it, my father got a noose around, basically an invisible little wire around the animal's neck, and he was able to grab it, and then we were able to get in the water and grab the animal. He was definitely kept in care.
An animal care and control representative says the alligator was probably somebody's pet, and the herpetologist will give the reptile a home and provide sanctuary for it.
Amazing, right here in Chicago.
Coming up, the clock is ticking. What some homeowners need to do real soon to avoid a big increase in their property taxes.
Plus, the man who wrote a revealing book about the Bush administration tells his story to Congress.
And what many men may not know that could put them at greater risk for having a heart attack.
Watching Chicago's very own WGN News at 9.
Former Press Secretary John McClellan says President Bush has lost the nation's trust. His comment came before a congressional panel regarding an investigation into a CIA leak. Some lawmakers and McClellan himself say that the vice president may have all the answers. WGN's Grant Rampey is in Washington tonight with the latest for us. Grant.
Evening, Allison. At this point, a lot of folks are going to be asking, when are we going to hear the last of the CIA leak case? Well, House Democrats were up here today picking Scott McClellan's brain as they try to figure out who ordered the leakers to leak. No one knew that Valerie Plame had been a CIA operative until a State Department official let it slip to a reporter. Then top aides to the president, Karl Rove and Scooter Libby, confirmed it. But who, if anyone, told them to blab?
I do not think the president in any way had knowledge about it based on my conversations with him back at that time.
Okay, so if he didn't get the ball rolling, McClellan was then asked, what about Dick Cheney?
I do not know. There is a lot of suspicion there.
The matter a bit more cut and dried for some Democrats.
Mr. Cheney's the only one left.
the only likely suspect to have ordered the leak.
And he's not talking. The former Bush spokesman turned best-selling tell-all author, however, is still speaking up. One White House spokesman puts it this way, quote, "I think Scott's probably told everyone everything he doesn't know."
Scott McClellan alone will have to wrestle with whether it was worth selling out the president and his friends for a few pieces of silver.
I compliment you on what you're doing.
But is this former insider shedding any new light on the White House's inner workings? McClellan says he doesn't hold the cards.
Only those who know the underlying truth can bring this to an end. Sadly, they remain silent.
McClellan told lawmakers today when it comes to not only the plane case, but also to Iraq and a host of other issues, the president and his team have really hurt themselves over the years by backtracking and telling half-truths when they should have been honest, open, and upfront. Live in Washington, Grant Rampey, WGN News.
Grant, thank you very much. Mayor Daley is reminding property owners they must apply for the 7% cap on the increased assessment of their homes in order to hold down their tax bills.
Whether or not you received a letter from the assessor's office, if you meet the qualifications we've outlined today, we encourage you to call 311 to get more information, application forms.
Now here's what's at stake. Under the new legislation, homeowners who have lived in their homes for more than 10 years and those whose household income is less than $100,000 qualify for a 10% cap. Those whose household incomes are under $75,000 qualify for a 7% cap. The deadline, June 30th.
Traffic on the northbound Edens Expressway goes down to one lane tonight for at least part of the highway under construction. So starting at 10 o'clock tonight, right after our newscast, the expressway goes to one lane, and it will make time there for repairs. The whole project is shifting to a new stage. If the weather is okay, traffic from Dempster Avenue to Lakewood Road will be shifted tonight into Saturday from the right lane and shoulder onto the repaved left and center lanes. I hope you can keep track of all of that. In 1 week, a similar shift will take place on the southbound lanes.
How about alternate route?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, a warning for men, what you may not know that could put you at greater risk of having a heart attack.
Plus, new rules that might upset business travelers at one airline.
And what was he thinking? A man robs a convenience store with a palm tree.
Live from WGN-TV Chicago, the official drawing of the Illinois Lottery.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Linda Comer with your winning lottery numbers for Friday, June 20th, 2008. Hope you're having the most wonderful Friday. First game is pick 3. The first lucky number is 9, followed by the second number, 8, and your third and final pick 3 is 9. That makes the winning pick 3 numbers for tonight, 9, 8, 9. Hope those are your numbers. I hope you have a Mega Millions ticket for tonight. That jackpot is $16 million. Woo! Imagine the plans you could make for this weekend. Back to pick 4. First lucky number is 3. Second number, 4. The third lucky number is 0. And the fourth and final pick 4, 8. That makes the winning pick 4 numbers for tonight, 3408. It's Little Lotto time, and the jackpot's $100,000. Good luck. Let's get started. The first winning Little Lotto number for tonight, 29. Your second, 31. Up next is your third, 21. The fourth, 37. And the fifth and final Little Lotto number 18. That makes the winning Little Lotto numbers for tonight, 29, 31, 21, 37, and 18. I hope that sends you into the weekend dancing. I'm Linda Colmar. Good luck and good night.
Tonight's lottery drawing was brought to you by WGN-TV and supervised by the accounting firm of Clifton Gunderson.
In tonight's Medical Watch, heart health
It was a shock when Tim Russert died of a sudden heart attack 1 week ago. But doctors say most men would be surprised at their risk. Your numbers may be in check for cholesterol and blood pressure, but there's a secret you may not know.
These are red blood cells, and these are depicted as the LDL cholesterol. So they're fat cholesterol.
When cholesterol builds up in the blood, fatty deposits or plaques latch onto the surface of vessel walls, narrow the passageway, and restrict blood flow. It's a warning we've all heard before. Now, Rush cardiologist Dr. Annabelle Volgman wants us to hear this.
You don't have to have severe blockage to have a heart attack.
That's because plaque can also penetrate the vessel and hide inside the lining of the wall, leaving enough room for blood to flow even during a stress test. But at any moment,
this plaque can actually cause a rupture, and when this ruptures, you have bleeding, and the platelets, tiny little pieces of blood, will actually form the blood clot.
If a clot completely blocks the flow of blood, the muscle's electrical system malfunctions and the heart may stop suddenly. A tragic sequence of events that experts believe led to Tim Russert's death.
Just it makes you start rethinking, what can I do better?
John Nielsen asked himself the same question after his 40-year-old brother had a fatal heart attack. The answer?
Get my cholesterol checked, my blood pressure, all that. I could probably exercise more and eat better, honestly, but I'm doing my best.
So is Bob Blackwood.
You've been exercising a lot, I know.
I've been exercising.
Wonderful.
The 65-year-old walks nearly 2 miles a day and takes medications, all in an effort to avoid a heart attack down the road.
You can delay one, certainly, if you can't prevent it. And the odds are in your favor.
And so are new screening tools that use nuclear imaging technology to measure the size of LDL, or bad cholesterol particles, floating through the bloodstream.
The smaller particles, the better they can get inside the blood vessel walls. This is to really try to make sure that we're lowering that cholesterol low enough to prevent those sudden cardiac death and heart attacks.
Doctors say when it comes to lowering bad cholesterol levels, shoot for a number less than 70. And be sure to add omega-3 fatty acid or fish oils to your diet, which have been shown to decrease risk of heart attack.
Ambulances do not carry clot-busting drugs. There is a push to change that, so paramedics can administer the potentially life-saving medication early enough to save lives.
Thanks, Dina. They should have that medicine in ambulances. Summer just arrived, but will it feel like it this summer?
Tom Skilling will tell us just what we can expect. Well, tonight, residents in Lincoln and Winfield, Missouri continue to fight fierce flooding from the Mississippi River. A fifth levee near the town of Winfield broke today. That's just north of St. Louis, and the break is further eroding already damaged homes.
Reporter Jason Lamb from our sister station in St. Louis is in Winfield tonight, where the Red Cross is setting up shelter for flood victims, and he joins us now. Jason, just how many people seem to need help there now?
Well, Steve and Allison, as you said, we are in Winfield, Missouri at this Red Cross shelter. Now, just to give you an idea, Winfield, Missouri is about 45 minutes to an hour north of St. Louis. Now, just to give you an idea, this is in Lincoln County, where there has been major flooding here going on, of course, for the past few days. The site of tremendous flooding, and just today, a levee had breached here just north of us, and that makes for the fifth levee that's breached in Lincoln County alone this year. Now, here's what we had to do to even get this report out to you today. As we were driving up, you could see the military guarding each of the intersections where the road had been blocked due to the flooding. They would not let anybody into those areas except, of course, for the people that lived there. And we even ran into one man who was dealing with the flooding in one creative way. He took a boat to get to his own house. Imagine that, pulling up to your own house in a boat because of all the flooding. Now, again, we are here in the Red Cross shelter, one of many here in Missouri due to all this flooding. Now, take a look at this. These are the sandbags. These are leftover sandbags that have not been used at. This place is the kind of the headquarters for all the sandbags for Lincoln County. Now, this will be out here. This will be out here tomorrow. Now, people will be back here tomorrow bringing in more sandbags as needed. Again, today, the trucks have been coming in and out all day. So quite a scene here today. and we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Keep you there a second. That must be, is Jason back with us?
Yeah, he's still there.
Still there. It must be kind of an odd thing because every time a levee breaks upstream, that must give some relief to those downstream because that's water that would not have come to them.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a double-edged sword because, as you say, as the levee breaks, the water is relieved in some parts, but that fear is realized certainly in other areas as they have to beef up those sandbags that they already have to make sure that water doesn't creep in any further than it has to.
All right,
okay.
Jason.
And so the Red Cross is set up and ready to take those folks who are out of their homes tonight? They're prepared for them?
Yeah, that's right. The Red Cross is here and prepared for anybody that needs to arrive. They had about 50 people in here earlier this morning. It's emptied out some tonight, but they say they're prepared.
Jason Lamb, thank you very much, covering the situation in Winfield, Missouri.
Yeah. And
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Allison and Steve, you know what's interesting is we've kind of dried out for the last week.
Right.
There are signs that we may get back into a wet pattern again all through this area that's been so hard hit by the flooding.
We don't need that.
No,
yeah, wouldn't that be something
No.
amazing? And speaking of that, boy, we were bombarded by 2 waves of heavy thunderstorms today. Scott Withicombe of Algonquin captured the hail, falling with wave 1, which is the one that delayed the Cubs game and the White Sox game, down at Wrigley Field today in the Hometown Classic. Look at the hail up there. In some cases, it was the size of quarters. And our time lapse tonight is absolutely dramatic. This is looking west. Watch the ambled top thunderstorm show up right there. See the tops of the thunderstorms? And watch as that thing blows in, how its lower base comes in and brings the rains into the area. This is out by the Kennedy Expressway and the Tri-State. This thing blows through with rain, and then you'll see a second little shower come in and produce an outflow cloud right there, a kind of a little shelf cloud. Absolutely amazing stuff. And by the way, those full time lapses are on our website now, so you can watch the entire thing, even more than we put on the air for you. It's kind of interesting to watch Chicago's weather move at that speed. 67 is our current temperature in Chicago and 72 at Midway. But temperatures today, particularly in the south suburbs where they missed out on most of these thunderstorms, hit 87, as you can see down there by Onarga, and 88 today at Plainfield and also Kankakee. It's 72 still in Kankakee with a nice, well, early summer evening going because summer began this evening at 6:59 p.m. We had wind gusts of 45 miles an hour up by Burlington and western Kane County, Union, Lake Geneva up in Wisconsin, and here in the city we had 26-mile-an-hour winds, and it kind of depended on where you were as to how much rain you got. Wheaton topped the list as near as we can tell from our 180 sensors all across the air with WeatherBug at 103, nearly an inch of rain at Darien, 3/4 of an inch at Burlington, and hail which ranged from pea size to quarter size in some areas. That's the view from West Chicago and up here on the Fox Lake up in the northwest suburbs, and here's what it looked like from Lamont as the storms came into the area. And we're not done with them yet. We're in kind of an active pattern this weekend, but it's not going to rain all the time. You see the big storms developing in the Front Range of the Rockies. There's our little cluster right there. What's going to happen is the weekend goes on, we are going to have cooling temperatures aloft, and so the air becomes increasingly unstable. In this environment, you tend to start with a little sunshine, but build these clouds up as we look at the Doppler plot of rainfall that came down across the area, and wave 1, and then wave 2 of thunderstorms that came through here. This last one, the most recent one, which has pretty well calmed down and is moving out of the area tonight, though a few storms linger north of the Illinois-Wisconsin line, and it's not out of the question we might pop one in some other areas too. With cool air aloft, daytime heating allows the air to become buoyant and rise. So by the late morning and early afternoon tomorrow, there's a little friendly area that might ignite a couple of storms. There's our cluster coming through this morning and the one this afternoon, and new storms could develop tomorrow evening. But the warm-up is in progress. It'll just be temporarily interrupted on Sunday and Monday as this little bubble of cool air up here in Ontario drops in for a brief stay. Then we'll start warming up and turning more and more humid, and we'll get into more of this warm air that's out to the west of us and has been provoking thunderstorm development all week long. Winds are southwest at 8 miles an hour, humidity at 68% in Chicago, and look how the moisture is flooding northward as indicated by elevated dew points in this area. Over the next 5 days, here is the cool off on Sunday, Monday, and we're right in a very unstable cool pool, but this thing will then lift out, we'll get warm, and we seem to have the kind of pattern developing which is features mid and upper 80-degree daytime temperatures and what are called MCSs, mesoscale convective complexes that fire out in the Dakotas and come down our way. Here you can see the scattered thunderstorms on Sunday that will develop, much as they will tomorrow afternoon as well. But there ought to be some dry hours before those things come in and even between them. And here's the wider view of this cool air pool right here. See, this is later tomorrow. There are the scattered storms. They fade in the coolness of tomorrow night. Then the model redevelops again in the afternoon, and Monday could feature a day of northeast winds. So we've had to lower Monday's predicted temperature, but we think we'll bounce right back again by the afternoon on Tuesday and really warm up then the rest of next week, which is the remainder of June, and into July, which starts the following week. Looks pretty warm to start with, too. We are getting rainfall, though, forecasts are estimates of 2 to 3 inches or more. Well, partly cloudy and warmer. That's total over the next 2 weeks, by the way. Partly cloudy and warmer tonight. Low temperature down to 62. Any isolated showers or thunderstorms will be fading away. Mixed sun tomorrow, but that fades as a midday cool front could bring a few scattered thunderstorms, and a couple of those could again build to active storms that require an occasional thunderstorm warning, particularly from Chicago or areas south tomorrow. Tomorrow night, storms will settle out of the area and diminish, slow down to 57, partly cloudy and cooler. And any sun on Sunday will fade behind clouds that provide a growing prospect of some showers or thunder showers.
We don't need rain, no.
No, isn't that amazing? But it won't be the heavy stuff.
Keep it away.
Like we'll get, this prolonged heavy stuff that floods rivers, so that's good. We'll come back in 10 days, in 10 minutes. I'll tell you about 7 days ahead.
No, 10 minutes.
Okay, guys, 10 minutes.
All right, coming up, we got a shocking story from a high school in Massachusetts. A group of teenagers make a pact to get pregnant.
And big changes at one airline that might make some business travelers fighting mad.
This week on WGN Morning News, we were live with the latest on Midwest flooding, checked out Summer Gear for Dogs, Anna tried out a new look, and we had some laughs with Weird Al. Next week, the hottest summer toys, live music from the Red Walls. We're hanging with hip-hop pioneer Grandmaster Flash, and Kevin Costner is here. Next week on WGN Morning News from 5 to 9. And thank you, Chicago, for making WGN Morning News your #1 choice for news.
Got a variety of music around town in Chicago this weekend.
WGN's Richards has a preview for us.
What are you doing? I'm right here. Just talk to me.
New at the movies, it's Steve Carell's take on the old Don Adams spy spoof, Get Smart. Agent 86 Maxwell Smart has partnered with Anne Hathaway as the ever-suffering Agent 99. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Alan Arkin co-star. 6 years since his last Austin Powers movie, and a lot less funny, Mike Myers is back as the love guru, a Deepak Chopra-like self-help stylist hired to help a hockey player's marriage. And the first full-length movie based on the popular American Girl dolls hits the screen this weekend with Kit Kittredge and American Girl. Little Miss Sunshine's Abigail Breslin stars with Joan Cusack and Chris O'Donnell.
In the 15 years that I've been part of this family, we have never eaten sweet and sour shrimp.
On stage, there's the Victory Gardens Biograph Theater's family comedy, Relatively Close. Catch it through July 13th. The Writers Theater presents James Goldman's The Lion in the Winter through August the 3rd.
Would you see the world? Would you chase your dreams? Settle down with a family.
And in a busy music weekend, it's a superstar country show at Soldier Field, Saturday at 4 with Kenny Chesney and Leanne Rimes. Jazz great Dave Brubeck performs with an 18-piece big band, plus shares the bill with Chicago's own Ramsey Lewis Saturday at Ravinia Festival. Sunday, it's Diane Reeves, The Manhattan Transfer, and Betty Buckley.
Now, don't forget, you can see my past reviews on our website. But when you see a movie, send us your review. Upload a review video or send it to us in an email. If we use your review on Monday morning, you'll get some brand new DVD releases. Take a look at WGN-TV.com/Dean's List for more information. Have a great weekend. Dean Richards, WGN News.
Thank you, Dean. New rules that could make trips a little longer for business travelers.
Plus, the Palm Tree Bandit. A man sticks up a store with a tree.
Unbelievable. And the first game of this season's Crosstown Classic ends in most dramatic fashion. We've got highlights and post-game reaction coming up later in sports.
For more information or to see selected news stories, check out WGN-TV.com.
Use your car.
Well, the principal of a high school in Gloucester, Massachusetts, says a number of girls at the school became pregnant by making a pact to have babies and raise them together. The principal says in a Time magazine article that the girls confessed to making the pact after the school began investigating. Joseph Sullivan says 17 girls at his school are pregnant, and nearly half that total were involved in the pact, none more than 16 years of age. The mayor of Gloucester says she doubts that many girls would conspire to get pregnant.
Very strange.
Yeah, it is.
Summer is here, and Tom is here to let us know if it's going to feel like it this weekend.
Allison and Steve, you know, throw open the window tonight and appreciate what you're feeling when we show you this. At this hour in Furnace Creek, California, it's 113 degrees. Look at that scene. Is that hot looking? But if that's not warm enough for you, look at the first two cities, Bullhead City and Chandler are in Arizona, had highs of 120 and 118. Furnace Creek, we just saw in Imperial, California, had 117 or 116 today. Just amazing. Palm Springs hit 117 degrees today. Well, it was 80 and actually 81 in Chicago. And here's what's expected to happen. Some of that heat is going to bleed eastward. This is a 7-day animation. This particular one off the European model, but our U.S. model from the Weather Service shows the same thing. It'll be slowed over the weekend by this steepening northerly flow and the pool of cool air that comes down Sunday, Monday. And that's why each day could feature some widely scattered thunderstorms, and a few of them may be heavy tomorrow, even severe in the afternoon. But boy, that warm air, once it gets in here, we go out to 10 days here. There's a little cool off on Sunday, Monday, northerly winds, and then the flow flattens out. This is the kind of thing that brews storm clusters out in the Dakotas, and they come eastward repeatedly and bring big rains into the Midwest because they hit with such regularity. If that pattern works out. Now, just where that heavy rain, the heaviest, will line up, we'll have to wait and see, but it's a pattern to watch. 82 for tomorrow. Many dry hours this weekend. It's not an all-day rain, but a few scattered storms could be in toward midday with a cold front, and then more storms Sunday afternoon. And by midweek, it gets pretty humid around here. That's when it'll feel pretty muggy. Happy summer, guys, by the way. And check out the blog, storm photos on the weather blog tonight, too, that we didn't show you on the air.
Will do, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay.
And now for the results of tonight's text poll. Which team do you think will win the most games in the Crosstown Series? 68% of you say the Cubs. 31% think the Sox will win the most games. We'll just have to wait and see.
That's right. United Airlines will soon start requiring minimum stays for nearly all domestic flights, the latest move to combat record high fuel prices. Starting October 1st, most economy class fares on United will require minimum stays of 1 to 3 nights or a weekend night. The new rules are likely to be unpopular with those business travelers who like to fly early in the morning and return home for dinner.
Attempted assault with a deadly palm frond?
No.
You have to ask, what was the guy thinking? This man was charged with armed robbery in Florida after attempting to rob a convenience store with a palm tree frond. This is no joke. It is the actual surveillance video of the incident. The man demands cash as he threatens to stab the clerk with the palm frond. A worker is having none of it, however, and shoos the would-be robber away. The worker recognized the suspect and police tracked him down.
I like that pseudo disguise. T-shirt pulled over.
Probably off his medication, maybe.
After adding 2 of the NHL's 3 best rookies last season, the Blackhawks add yet another first-round pick to the mix.
And after another championship season, a local favorite gets the promotion of a lifetime. Dan Roan is next with sports.
Closed captioning for WGN News is brought to you by American Mattress. American Mattress, family-owned and operated.
Well, let the games begin. The Cubs and the Sox. There was a pretty good fight in the stands behind third base after the game, but I really think most fans on both sides are a lot more concerned this year about the standings than beating up the crosstown rival. Then again, I could be wrong. Wedged into the bleachers, they had to sit through about a 30-minute rain delay, and when the sun came out, so did the Sox lumber. Jermaine Dye's second inning, last seen bouncing down Waveland Avenue. The game was tied at 1. And then with a runner on in the Sox third, A.J. Pierzynski just to the right of dead center field. And it lands in the second row of the bleachers. The Sox had a 3-1 lead, which John Danks maintained until he left after 6. And then the Cubs got to work. Derek Lee on the first pitch he saw from Octavio Dotel in the 7th. It's 3-2, and right behind D. Lee, Aramis Ramirez coming off an ice-cold series in Tampa. Ramirez to deep left, and the game is tied at 3. You had the feeling the next run would win it. And here's A.J. up there in the Sox 9th with a runner at second. Checked his swing, and on the appeal, called out by third base umpire Mike Everett, very close. So they go to the bottom of the ninth. Scott Linebrink facing Ramirez, and we check in on the Pat and Ron show on WGN Radio.
Ramirez drives one in the air, deep center field. It's got a chance. Cubs win. Aramis Ramirez with a game-winning home run. Cubs win 4-3.
Aram with 2 homers in the final 3 innings, and the Cubs strike first in the Crosstown Classic. About as much drama as anybody could expect. The walk-off homer wins at 4-3. Linebrink, a rare failure out of the Sox pen. Kerry Wood gets the win as the Cubs draw first blood in the Classic, and the ballpark Ozzie loves to hate.
Well, you're going to take batting practice and the rats look bigger than a pig out there. You want to take a look? I think the rats out there are lifting weights.
But in the end, the biggest rat in the Sox demise was Aramis Ramirez, who did exactly what all those Cub fans and his manager were hoping for.
One thing I told Allen, that if he got on base, we weren't going to bunt with the next hitter. So yeah, we were looking for some extension, and that's exactly what we got.
This guy's pretty good. He's got like 1.2 ERA, so he's been doing pretty good. If you try to hit on wrong, I guarantee you won't hit it.
No, you can't fool around with them, but you also can't start putting guys on base, you know, in a tie ball game late in the game like that. So you have to be aggressive, but aggressive in good spots, and you know, usually that spot is not going to hurt you if the ball's down. But then again, if he's looking down, it's not a good spot.
A.J. Pierzynski wouldn't talk about that check swing strikeout in the ninth, said it might be too expensive. But both sides were happy to talk about the electricity this series produced once again.
It's still fun, it's still great. It's great once you get out of this clubhouse and get on the field. You know, so it's awesome. It's the best atmosphere you can have besides a playoff game.
Same old stuff from the fans outside, but other than that, I mean, it was a great atmosphere. You wish you could play every game like this.
They played a good baseball game. But meanwhile, you know, last 4 or 5 innings, we got men on second base, and we know we got the big hit, and they did. And you know, I mean, just pretty well. You know, they threw the ball well, and you just got beat.
It was a good ball game. It was a real good ball game, and both sides played well, and we came out on top.
Game 2 tomorrow on WGN at noon. And Tommy Harris has quietly become the highest-paid Chicago Bear in history. His new 4-year deal gets him $40 million. It made sense for the Bears to get him done over more high-profile discussions like Brian Urlacher's or Devin Hester's, because Harris was the first one with an expiring contract. And Tommy's a key to that defense with 13 sacks over the last 2 seasons. Big numbers for a defensive tackle. He's made the Pro Bowl 3 times. The Bears would like to see him do it at least 4 more times. And congratulations to Chicago Wolves coach John Anderson, ex-Wolves coach, now that he's moved up to the NHL with the Atlanta Thrashers. They're the Wolves parent club. It was a move that was expected and a long time coming. He was 13 years in the minors with 5 championships, and 13 years he'll never forget for a lot of reasons. He loved his time down with the Wolves, and now he's in the NHL. And speaking of hockey, the Blackhawks have drafted Kyle Beach in the first round of the NHL draft. A big banger, 6'3", 205.
That is big. That's the news. Have a great weekend, everybody.
And I'm Allison Payne. Steve Sanders, Dan, and Tom. Have a good one.
Chrysler is protecting you